Hi, thanks for joining us. We're 50 Shades of Blonde, and I'm Missy Day.
And Jill Branson.
And we want to take a minute to thank one of our sponsors, Jody Zanifsky, who is with Touchtone Crystal. And so my birthstone is sapphire, and so I bought this beautiful necklace from her and this blinged out bracelet that I have on. And we have rings.
Beautiful rings.
See? And our friend Deborah, who you can't see off camera, she has earrings. So thank you, Jody, so much for sponsoring our show. We appreciate it. So we're excited again because we have another one of our friends, Cheryl Barnes, is with us. So thanks for coming, Cheryl.
Thanks for having me.
Cheryl, I met at networking, what was that, like two years ago? And so she is with Home-Based Insurance. And so my husband and I had been with a company, we won't name their name, for a really long time. And we thought we were getting this incredible deal until I met Cheryl. And I said, you know what, would you mind just like running some numbers for us and see what we'd get? And you did, and it was amazing because we ended up getting way more coverage. We ended up getting our home insurance, and for $120 less a month.
It was really great, and that's one of the things I like to tell people. So I like to say, just let me show you what I can do. Maybe I can help, and maybe it'll open up some room in your budget, and that's one of the best parts about my job.
So you can tell me no if you don't want to, but
Okay.
I think you have, because we all know that you're so passionate about insurance.
That's right.
Which some people aren't.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Some
That's
people
true.
aren't. But you are really passionate about it, and I love the story that you have of why you're passionate about insurance. Would you mind sharing that story?
Well, a couple of things have happened. I was kind of forced into a job at an insurance agency that I didn't really, I thought that insurance were like the enemy, insurance companies, until I had this experience in that first year. And I'm wondering if that's what you're talking about, where the life insurance, is that what you were talking about?
The one where you had somebody happen to them and they weren't insured enough?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that's exactly what happened. So the first year that I was in insurance and not even really all that happy, I really was wondering if it was right for me. And I had two situations happen that made me absolutely 100% sure that I knew exactly what I needed to do for the rest of my life. Where I had a woman who had two college-age kids. Her husband died. He had life insurance. And so the agent I worked for was able to cut her a nice check. And so it didn't help relieve any of the pain. They still had the pain, but they didn't have to worry about how the house payments were going to be made or how the tuition was going to get paid. And then I had another young lady right around that same time in her early 30s. Her husband was 32, and she called to find out if her now terminally ill husband had any life insurance, and he did not. And she wanted to know why. For us, fortunately, we had it in the notes that he had been offered life insurance on 3 different occasions. And then at this point, her life was basically ruined for a time because she wasn't able to make her house payments. She had no money coming in because she was so busy taking care of her husband that she had to be there for him pretty much around the clock and did not. And I knew that I wanted to do something that could help people, but where I could still make an income and support my family, but still feel like I was doing good for the community. And I knew from that moment on that I was going to sell insurance for the rest of my life. And I believe in it wholeheartedly. And I know that I feel like I've made a good contribution to your life, as I have many, many people, where I feel like I've just done a good job for them. And it makes me feel like I'm doing something good.
Right.
And what are all the types of insurance and things that
what I do is I do auto and home and life insurance, and I'm very fortunate that I have a wide selection. So I have, the top tier people who, like Missy, where I have the really AAA companies to put them in, that just top-notch companies. And then I have the middle market, and then I've got, my problem children, and I've got a market for them as well. And so I have a market for people who also have problems or have had a problem keeping insurance for any length of time, or have driving issues that make them hard to place, or in a, where it is cost effective.
Right.
So I have everything for everybody, and I try to find the right program for each risk for the family or the individual.
And then when they renew, I would assume that you always give them price quotes again, and you do research and different things to see if
Well, it depends. I mean, if we see a change in the market or a change in a person's circumstance, for example, I've had one guy now for 5 years. He was had some driving issues, some big driving issues. We were just able to move him out of that one company that will take him in and save him, like $150 a month on his insurance, because he was now at a point in his life. And that's what I do, is I keep an eye on those trends, keep an eye on driving records, just to see when is the right time to move people and when are they ready to move into those top companies.
Do you find when you're talking to people that because I know I wasn't, we had talked about, you said, what kind of coverage do you have, right? Well, it's just like, we get our deck sheets in the mail, right? And it's just, we file them away. And like you're saying, we were way underinsured. I mean, if God forbid, if something would have happened, we could have been like taken to the cleaners. So how many people do you think are really aware of what exactly it is they have?
Almost nobody. And even
gonna
myself,
say.
I was the same way. When I got my insurance license now almost 24 years ago, I didn't know. I had to go to my husband and say, what coverages do we have? So I totally get it, I totally get it. But I had a guy just recently that drives a very expensive car, and he had really low limits. He pays cash for his house, cash for his car. He has a lot of assets he needs to protect. And when I said, why do you have such low limits in these other states, where he has vehicles also in several states? And I said, why do you have such limits? And he said to me, well, I just take whatever the agent told me to take, and
that you know.
I was like, yeah, this is
what
not
you're-
okay. So we went over and I explained to him the situation and got him insured properly here in Nevada, and encouraged him to go to those other agents and get properly insured. So now I have him properly insured with a good price, though, still, because I found a good program for him with his really high-end car.
So let's talk about a minute about like home insurance. So when you're thinking about home insurance, like how nitty gritty do you need to get as far as covering items in your house?
Well, because the policies are very vague intentionally. Okay, they're not trying to exclude stuff. If you have a fire, they want to cover and replace your items. That's what they're there for. If you have water damage, if you have a situation where you lose your personal property, they want to cover that stuff. So it's pretty vague. I had a house fire myself 20 years ago now, and they replace it at today's value if you've got the right policy. Some policies don't. They'll do cash value. So your 10-year-old refrigerator is now worth $100, and that's not going to help you a lot.
No.
You need to replace that refrigerator, and it's going
Right.
to take a lot more than $100. And so you've got to make sure you've got that replacement cost. And there are some situations that don't warrant that. But for most people, like you and I and Jill, we would want that replacement cost to be able to go out and replace those items. And so the policies are intentionally, the better policies are intentionally inclusive of your personal property, and they don't make you you don't have to show a picture of your refrigerator, or they're going to know.
serial
They're going to know the types of items that you have just by looking at what's there. They're going to know.
So for the purpose of the people that are watching the show, so what is the best way to get a hold of you? Because you do sit down and have conversations with people, right? Just to kind of find out what they have so that you can see if you can offer them something else, right?
That's right.
So then how would people contact you for that?
Well, I do give 100% of my customers have my cell number. So 24 hours a day in case of emergencies, they can reach me. You can reach me. It doesn't matter what time of day, you're going to be able to get me on the phone. And that's my phone number. Do you want me to? Okay, that would be 702-217-5816. And you can reach me at any time, day or night, on that line. The only time I don't answer is when I'm already on the line with a customer. So if you have an emergency at 2 in the morning, hopefully I'll be available and not already
Hopefully
talking
you
to
don't
another.
have an emergency at 2 a.m.
Well, I know for us that we were just thrilled that we were able to get great coverage for less money than we were paying. And I know that Deborah, who was just on our show previous to you, was saying that she's also saved a lot of money, with you. So who doesn't want to save money nowadays, right?
Right.
I mean,
That's right.
really, who doesn't? So if you are looking to have awesome coverage with an awesome agent, I encourage you to reach out and connect with Cheryl. And just one more time, give everybody your phone number.
You bet. Cheryl Barnes, Home Base Insurance, 702-217-5816.
Thank you so much, Cheryl, for joining us today. We
Thanks.
really appreciate
Thank
it.
you so
Yeah,
much,
we're really
guys.
glad
Thank
you
you,
came
guys.
on.
Thank you for everything.
Thank you.